All right, everybody, good evening, although it says good afternoon on my script. Welcome to Planning and Works Committee for April 9th, 2024. You need to do a roll call again? Yeah, okay, so I will now call on the committee clerk to conduct a roll call.
Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig.
Present.
Councillor Deutschmann.
Present.
Councillor Erb.
Present.
Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Hunick.
Present.
Chair James.
Present.
Councillor Liggett. See her. Councillor McCabe.
Oh, sorry. Present. I'm just trying to find my agenda here. Present, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor McCabe. Councillor Nowak. Councillor Salonen.
Present.
Councillor Shantz. Councillor Verbanovich. Councillor Williams.
Present.
And Councillor Wolf.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have quorum. Perfect. All right, I would like to acknowledge the land in which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Chinantan peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence and the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today, their achievements, their contributions to the community. I would like to now call on a motion to reconvene. I need movers, Councillor Foxton, seconder, Councillor Erb. If you could all use e-scribe when it's prompted. There. Okay, that is carried. Declarations. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Presentations. There are no presentations. Delegations. We do have 2 delegations who have registered. We will now proceed through the list. I would like to remind all delegations of some guidelines for participation. For those who are joining us in person, please come down to the podium when you are called to speak. Please press the green button, or the button until the light is green, and speak into the microphone. You will have 5 minutes. I think the second delegation, you do have 3 minutes. Just a reminder that if you do conduct yourself in any of the following manners, it will result in immediate removal from the meeting, interrupting councillors, staff, or other delegations, derogatory statements about councillors, staff, or others, turning your camera on at inappropriate times, and any hate speech or defamatory comments. And okay, so we will call our first speaker, Jeff Gilchrist. Come on down.
Green. Thank you for the guidelines. I'm sure I'll probably be able to stay within those pretty easily. First time I've ever done this, so I'm not sure the protocol, but first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Nice to be heard, although I think it's maybe a small thing on your agenda with everything you guys probably do here, but we're here to talk about the truck traffic in downtown Ayr. We've done a lot of emailing and forms, and I'm sure Carrie Williams, I'm not sure if she's submitted everything, but they keep on pouring in by the dozens on our Facebook posts and our the other forms. I've got some letters still here. We're just trying to somehow find a way to redirect truck traffic through the downtown core of Ayr. I'm a resident on Swan Street in Ayr. My front door is about 12, 15 feet off the road, so it's kind of a scary situation at times. I've got a whole bunch of videos that I have sent to Carrie as well. Pictures of trucks driving on sidewalks, trucks that have damaged the cenotaph in downtown Ayr. There's some people who have almost been hit by trucks. One of the posts got struck in front of the the coffee station downtown air. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that everybody's safe downtown air, that the noise pollution going downtown air. I don't believe the roads are sufficient for the turns these trucks have to make downtown air. It's so tight. On a daily basis, people are needing to back up quite a ways down the road, move off the sidewalks. I'm not sure how much time I have. Is there a timer on here? 3 minutes left? I'm not even sure if I can go for 3 more minutes, to be honest with you.
Three.
I could tell a couple jokes maybe, but no, that's probably not appropriate. Anyway, I don't know the full process of everything and what the next step is, but Carrie's been guiding us, and she's been so lovely to meet with us on a couple of occasions to kind of give us some guidance. I see our mayor is also here. Nice to see you again. I think we've seen each other one time. Thank you also for listening, and I know that you're also interested in helping out this situation as well, and we appreciate that too, as well as Councilman Rod Roland, and he's been awesome to speak to as well. I do find it, the whole process interesting, so I'm hoping to follow this through. We have a good friend of mine, Nadine, a school teacher, is going to come up here and say a couple things as well, how she feels about it, but I'm hoping that our letters can come out, and if there's anything further than this, a next step where maybe some more of our community can come and speak. They're all asking me, Jeff, where do we go? What do we do? What do we do? We haven't had a long time to gather up a lot of the people and all the information we want to gather, but we've looked at all kinds of different routes that these trucks can take that don't take a lot of construction, but I'm sure Sue and probably mostly Sue, you probably know all this. You've done this for years, so, I'm not sure how many people have approached you or how many people have come to do this, but I know there's a large group of people who are very excited to get this done, and they're very thankful for what I've done, which I think is pretty small at this point, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help our community to be safer and just a nicer place to live. And the downtown core, maybe to have less traffic so people can enjoy it more without having to be worried about getting run over by a truck while they're having a coffee or whatever the case may be. So 1 minute, maybe she can have 4. I don't know. I think that's all I have to say for now. I appreciate you all listening, and thanks very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Should I push the button again and
Jeff?
turn it red
You can
again?
Push it to turn it off, but don't go anywhere yet because we do have some questions. I just want to say thank you for coming in and speaking to us. This is democracy, so I appreciate it. I think we appreciate it. Our first question speaker is from Councillor Foxton.
Chair, would you rather I wait till both speakers and then give the full caption about what's been happening over the last 3 or 4 months?
Absolutely. Okay, we will move on to the next speaker now. Okay, Jeff, you can take a seat, and we'll bring Nadine Fazer. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Nadine Fazer. Hi. I'm a school teacher, an elementary school teacher with the WRDSB, and so I know a lot of the kids around Ayr. I'm a member of the North Dumfries Horticultural Society, so I know a bunch of the retired folks in Ayr. And I worship at Calvary Church in Ayr, and I have a lot of young families as friends. And so my concern is for the safety of the children and the elderly in our town. And Jeff asked me if I would come and speak, and I've never done this before, and it feels a little bit scary and also really proper. As I was preparing and talking to my friends about their experience with truck safety, I heard scary stories. An older lady told me that she had to jump out of the way of a truck on the sidewalk while she was walking her dog, and a young mother told me she slammed on the brakes on driving her kid to school in the morning to avoid a head-on collision with a big truck in her lane. We all have to back up to let the trucks around Northumberland to Stanley and Stanley to Swan, because our town is old. It's adorable. It's wonderful. Our houses are, the front yards are, our main streets are residential, and the houses are close to the road. The front yards are close to the road. The sidewalks are really close to the road. And so I hope that we can redirect the unnecessary truck traffic a safer way, because there's no margin for error, like for pedestrian traffic and for the truck drivers themselves. And we want the kids riding their bicycles to their friends' houses, and we want pedestrians to fill up the downtown core. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Okay, there's a couple of counselors in the queue. So Counselor Foxton.
Thank you. So I guess my council passed the motion. Matthew, do you remember when it was? Was that November, December? Yeah, around there. Yeah. So we passed a motion, no trucks go into air. And we had pictures galore of the trucks and the damage they do. But it wasn't just that. It's a perfect storm. Where there's right now double trucks, two 50-foot trucks hooked together, trying to make this turn at a school crossing, while the crossing guard is trying to cross the kids from the sidewalk to the cenotaph and back to the other side. And they're competing with these trucks. Now, one time I was there, it was two 50-foot trucks connected, and two 50-foot trucks connected behind them. And the second truck didn't think they'd have to stop for kids or anybody. Came through. And I'm going to go back in history. The region spent a fortune upgrading Tressler Road. And the region, through our township tax dollars, did the cenotaph for us to discourage trucks in the core. That was one of the objectives, the silent objective. And we were to push all the trucks up to Tressler. Didn't happen. And again, and to Swan Street. So my council first wanted Northumberland, no trucks. Matthew, we're coming with Swan Street, Main, and Stanley later, and also Scott. But we'll talk about that later. The reason we didn't want to do that now was because we haven't upgraded Brant-Waterloo Road. That's the next thing we want to do. So we actually are going to upgrade Brant-Waterloo Road as well as Reedsville Road. So the trucks coming in on Wrigley will turn left onto Brant-Waterloo Road, go right onto, left onto Reedsville, right onto Brant-Waterloo, and take the Air Paris Road, and then they can hook up Dumfries Road to Tressler. What they're doing now is they're coming down Northumberland Street, going up Swan, and then turning right onto Dumfries Road to get to Tressler. I think it's going to get worse. Number one is it's been worse this year because Paris has signs all over the place, big electric signs saying use the Air Paris Road, which is Swan Street. And I keep taking pictures of them to council. Okay, even though Brant County has passed a motion to support us in no trucks on Northumberland. But we also, and I was talking to Matthew last week again, we have the roundabout happening at Tressler Road, which means the situation is going to be worse because they're going to take the path of least resistance and there's no place else they can go. So we may have to put up with that for a while. But the conversation has been quite positive with Matthew. Matthew's the acting CEO, and so a lot of discussions, even at social events. He can't get away from me Saturday night. But so we're hopeful this will happen. Matthew, what's the timeline for the roundabout? Do you know? I know it's the rough works happening now. They will give me a timeline shortly, and I'll write an article in the Air News so you know. But so when that happens, we're going to have to put up with some of this for a while. We can try to steer them down Northumberland, go up Greenfield. We'll work on it. We'll work with you guys because you may keep a lane open anyways up there, right? At the roundabout, like we did at Fisher Harmon. But anyways,
Okay,
we'll work
all right,
on that.
Sue, I'm going to reel you in here a bit.
So what we're dealing with the issue as best we can. I think it's going to happen. I'm going to make Matthew make it happen, but it's going to take a while. So be patient with us, and we have to do what's best for everybody, and we're dealing with a tough situation, but we'll get through it. I thought of hiring a little old lady or myself with my wheelchair going across the road every 5 minutes, so they wouldn't be able to go, but...
All right, Sue, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you, but
Yes,
we have
that's
a hard
okay. I'm
stop,
done, Madam
and
Chair.
it's got to turn over to Councillor Williams.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for you guys coming all the way from North Dumfries. I know I've driven it a few times and it takes a little while to get there, but it's such a lovely town, and I'm really glad that you guys came to me with the issues that you've been having, and I'm supposed to ask a question. So how urgent do you think that this situation is?
I think it's urgent. I thought it was important, and then listening to the stories, I feel like it's urgent.
Thank you. Councillor Salonen.
I was just wondering if I could ask a process question of you, Chair James. I do need to leave as I have another meeting in Wilmot to make it to. I was wondering about item 8.2.1 on the agenda, about Oxford Road 5 upload. I've spoken to Manager Henderson, and him and I are in agreement if we could push this out to the council meeting date on the 24th. I just wanted to see that happen before I walk out of the room.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. We can defer that. What item was it?
8.2.1,
Okay.
just so I can be present for that discussion.
Yeah, we're probably not going to get through everything today, so it'll go to council meeting on the 24th. Okay.
That's fine. I
Thank you,
appreciate your
Councillor.
indulgence.
All right, Councillor Deutschman?
Thank you, Chair James. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you were good.
Thank you. So just to follow up, the trucks in the downtown core of Ayr is an age-old conundrum dating back to Mayor Denouden and a whole variety of ways to try and resolve that. But I do have one question. If staff is going to take a look at this, I was curious what the original truck turning radius was designed for in terms of what size of truck. Councillor Foxton raises this issue about these piggyback trucks coming into the core. And I was just curious whether I don't expect an answer now, but whether the original design considered that when the downtown was changed to accommodate. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, the consent. Oh, Councillor Foxton, you wanted to respond?
If I may, no, not respond, but I believe the motion that Carrie's putting forward is the request that staff look into this. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we'll have to get to the staff motion, and I think at that point, Councillor Deutschman's comments would be appropriate to bring up again for staff when we have that discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, the consent agenda. We will now proceed with the consent agenda. If you wish to remove an item, please do so now. Are there any items that anyone wants to remove? No? Okay, I need a mover for the consent agenda. Oh, was there? You moving it? Okay, Councillor Liggett, Chair Redmond. We will vote. Do we need to vote on this? Oh my gosh, got brain fog from sitting here all day. Okay, so that is carried. Okay, so moving on to the regular agenda, items 7.1, the Region of Waterloo 2022 Corporate Greenhouse Gas Emissions Inventory. There is a staff presentation for that. I think Danielle DeFields, Director Community Planning, to introduce the presentation. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danielle DeFields, Director of Community Planning, and I'm pleased to be joined by two of my colleagues, Megan Eastwood, our Manager of Planning and Sustainability, as well as a new addition to our team, Caitlin Tozer, our Supervisor of Climate Transition and Sustainability. So today we're here to present an overview of the results of our latest corporate greenhouse gas emissions inventory. This inventory is conducted annually using standard municipal inventory protocols for emissions reporting. This work allows us to understand how our corporate activities are impacting efforts to achieve both corporate and community climate change goals. And I'll begin the presentation by setting the context for these inventory results by outlining community and corporate climate action frameworks that guide our work. Next, Megan will walk through the results of our 2022 corporate emissions inventory, and then she'll speak to key corporate initiatives that are underway in support of reducing our corporate emissions. And then I'll close the presentation with next steps. Next slide. Our community climate action efforts are guided by 3 plans that have been developed collaboratively by municipal and community partners. First is Transform WR, which establishes our 80 by 2050 community emissions reduction target. The Climate Action WR team coordinates the implementation of this plan. Second is the Community Energy Investment Strategy, which is coordinated by the Waterloo Region Community Energy Team. Third is the Community Climate Adaptation Plan, which is being led by the region. And the region directly supports these initiatives through collaborative funding agreements with their area municipal partners as active members of governance committees. Our corporate climate actions are advanced through numerous initiatives. Here I'd like to highlight a few of them, including our new strategic plan, which establishes climate-aligned growth as a strategic priority for the next 4 years. We also have a corporate energy plan for regionally owned facilities. This plan is currently being updated in accordance with provincial regulations. Just going to move this down a little bit. And to integrate new opportunities for energy efficiency measures. Climate adaptation and resilience planning for our infrastructure assets is being led by the asset management team with the development of a corporate climate adaptation master plan. Each of these plans and strategies provide essential guidance for our work. And as we develop the corporate climate action plan, as well as the supporting carbon budget, which Megan will speak to in a moment, we'll maintain alignment across all these different initiatives that I've just outlined today. So Megan's now going to walk you through the 2022 corporate GHG emissions inventory.
Good afternoon, or good evening maybe. Okay, so each year we report on the GHG emissions, or greenhouse gas emissions, generated by our facilities and services. This includes emissions associated with heating and cooling of our buildings, methane emissions from organic waste in our landfills, emissions associated with regional fleet and Grand River transit vehicles, staff travel from meetings and site visits, and methane emissions associated with biosolids that are collected as part of our wastewater treatment processes. Our baseline year for this inventory is 2009, which means we benchmark our progress against 2009 emissions levels. So, in 2022, our operations emitted approximately 115,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And so, according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, this amounts to roughly the carbon equivalent of 26,000 passenger vehicles driven in 1 year. The graph presented on screen and in the report illustrates that we've observed a decline in total emissions by 25% since 2009. An increase in total emissions was observed between 2021 and 2022. This increase is partially attributed to a change in the global warming potential of methane emissions. So this means that methane is more potent than previously thought. And this is why there is an increase reported in emissions for landfills, which is shown in gray on your screen, and I will speak to that more in the next slide. Our team will revise the corporate inventory protocol to fully integrate this new global warming potential, or GWP, of methane and make necessary adjustments for all previous years. Next slide, please. So we can simplify the results further by comparing only the 2009 baseline year and this most recent 2022 reporting year. So this allows us to view the overall trend for each major emission source. Starting with electricity, there has been a significant decrease in emissions associated with grid-supplied electricity, with the decommissioning of coal power plants in 2015, and with the energy efficiency measures implemented by our facilities team. For emissions associated with natural gas use, we've observed an increase due to greater space heating requirements. For methane emissions produced by landfills, an increase has been reported primarily because of that increased potency of methane that I spoke to earlier, rather than an increase. It's also important to note that these emissions released from our landfills are primarily legacy emissions from organic waste that was landfilled many years ago. And here I'd like to give a nod to the team in waste management who continue to demonstrate leadership by actively seeking opportunities to increase methane capture through research partnerships and innovative new technologies. For our corporate fleet and GRT, we have good news to report as there's been a decrease in emissions due in large part to a shift to hybrid buses. This positive trend will only be amplified with the recent launch of the fully electric buses, which is a major milestone for the region. Moving to staff travel, we're reporting a decrease in emissions, largely due to a shift toward more virtual meetings and remote work. And finally, emissions associated with wastewater treatment have declined significantly since 2009 due to the biosolids diversion program. And next slide, please. So I'd like to highlight two important projects that are well underway that will support the corporate emissions reductions further. First is the Corporate Climate Action Plan, which is a 5-year plan set within a 2050 horizon. And our aim will be to update this plan every 5 years, taking into account emerging technologies, risks, and opportunities. This plan will establish targets and actions for buildings, renewable energy, fleet and transportation, internal capacity building, and measurement and reporting. This work is progressing quickly, and our team is working with staff from across all departments to draft this plan. The second project I'd like to bring attention to is the corporate carbon budget. The objectives of this project are to develop tools that allow staff to quantify project-level GHG emissions and to build a clear framework for integrating emissions targets into our budget processes such that we can evaluate the climate implications of our expenditures. And we're making great progress on this project. We hope to bring a more comprehensive update to you very shortly. So Danielle will now speak to next steps.
So as Megan just outlined, although the Corporate Climate Action Plan and the carbon budget will not be complete by the time we enter into 2025 budget discussions, we think it's really important to consider how we could bring a climate lens to the budget process this year. So we are working internally to figure out how we could potentially incorporate climate considerations into what will be in front of you for the 2025 budget. This would likely be more of a qualitative framework than the plans we have for the carbon budget and corporate climate action plan, but would serve as some interim guidance while we're developing those plans. Once the full carbon budget framework has been completed in early 2025 and approved by Council, we can then conduct the quantitative assessments of the budget items that we bring in the future to understand how to best meet our emissions targets. We're planning to bring an update on the carbon budget and corporate climate action plan in the next few months to this committee. We're also planning to provide an update on our latest community greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which was last conducted in 2020. Finally, we'll present to Council the Corporate Climate Action Plan at the end of this year. Thank you so much for your time today. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. Thank you, Danielle. I am seeing no questions, so thank you. In light of our hard stop at 6 p.m., we are going to move on to the report 7.2.2, the storm sewer cost sharing policy update. Everything else that's on this agenda will get moved to the 24th. Okay, so just because we're on a time crunch here. So I will call on Doug Spooner, Acting Commissioner of Transportation Services, to introduce this report.
Thank you, Chair and Regional Council. Through you, Chair. So this is a report looking to adopt an updated storm sewer cost sharing policy. This was a policy originally adopted in 1997, so hopefully an update today on a 27-year-old policy. It's in response to some new guidance from the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Parks and their new approval process, which was instituted in 2021. So the policy outlines how each municipality is responsible for their contributions to stormwater systems in the regional right-of-way. A bit of tongue-in-cheek that those contributions are both financial at the start of planning for a project, but they also cover the actual contribution of water to that stormwater capacity. The policy update was done in partnership with all of the municipalities in the region as follows, and I'm adding 2 additional ones that were not in the report but are important. So through the existing Area Municipal Public Works Committee for Storm Sewers, on January 27th of 2023, regional staff met with representatives of the 3 cities, and then in September of 2023, regional staff met with representatives of the 4 townships, and then as noted in the report, on January 17th, the policy was circulated by email for review and feedback, and those items of feedback are incorporated. So we believe at this time all partners are aligned. It does not change the current or future cost sharing levels between partners. That's done at the time of the project. And because the policy is reciprocal, it's really just to help us move early on in the planning process and quickly and make sure we can replace and rehabilitate storm sewers for everybody in our region. So,
thank you. Seeing no questions, we do have a recommendation. I will need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Craig, Councillor Williams will second it, and you will be prompted on e-scribe. And that is carried. Okay, so next on the agenda, we're going to put up a motion to defer. Clerks has crafted something for us, and I will read it. That the regional, oh no, that's the stormwater. Motion to defer. Okay. Motion to defer the remaining planning and works agenda and administration and finance agenda to be dealt with before council on April 24th. Councillor Foxton, you're moving that, and Councillor Wolf will second it. And then all those in favor.
Chair James?
Yes.
It's stunning how efficient we can be when the day is running late.
Wait, no. This is a first for us. I think this is the first time we've had to defer something. All right. Okay, so that is carried. And next we will need a mover to adjourn. All right. Okay, Councillor Wolf, Councillor Liggett, and now you'll be prompted and e-scribe. It's carried. Okay, that is carried. So we are adjourned and we will pick up where we left off on April 24th before our council meeting.